The best thing about every season of Survivor. Keep track of everything you agree with and let me know down in the comments. The best thing about Survivor Borneo, and possibly the best thing to ever happen to Survivor, was having Richard Hatch build the foundation of how this game would be played over 20 years later. Going into the first season of Survivor, there was no expectation, no baseline to go off of on how to go about this experience, and it really showed as so many players felt it went against Survivor to build alliances and strategize. Not Richard Hatch, who laid the groundwork for Survivor strategy. Michael Scoopin falling into the fire is exactly what I would say about Survivor the Australian Outback if this video was discussing the most iconic thing about every Survivor season. But nah, today we are talking about the best thing about every season of Survivor, and it's 100% Colby's amazing challenge performance. Colby was truly the first Survivor hero, as he became a full celebrity and people were even naming their kids after him.
You were so popular, people were naming their children Colby.
Most of the ones I heard about named their dogs Colby.
Survivor Africa is remembered for its harsh conditions as being one of the hardest Survivor seasons of all time, but it's also remembered for a small little reward challenge that touched the hearts of millions of people watching at home. Wind the clocks back to the fall of 2001, and Ethan Zahn gets to go on a reward challenge to bring goats to a village in Africa, which to this day is one of the best things he has ever experienced.
My luxury item, which was a little hacky sack. And so I started playing hacky sack with all these little Kenyan children.
Much like how Richard Hatch wrote the book on Survivor strategy, Survivor's fourth season saw an evolution in the strategy, as this would be the first time in the show's history when there wouldn't be a straight pagonging of the minority players at the merge. The game was starting to feel stale, but got flipped on its head when John Carroll was blindsided and voted out on day 24. Short and sweet, but the best thing and the only good thing about Survivor Thailand is the attack zone challenge.
No! Rob, you were not in the attack zone when you grabbed Clay around the throat. You're out of the game.
Survivor strategy would once again get an upgrade in its sixth season, as RHAP legend Mr. Rob as a podcast Sesternino would develop the flipping strategy on going back and forth between alliances to progress his own game forward. I've gone on record not being a huge fan of this season, but everyone needs to appreciate and respect Rob's gameplay maneuvering. There is so much to love about Survivor Pearl Islands, as it's truly Survivor's first masterpiece and one of the greatest seasons of all time. But if I was asked with the impossible task of deciding the single greatest thing about this season, I would have to say the entire first episode.
You should thought the lady was laughing and giggling with her or whatever, but the lady actually, I think, liked her in a sexual way.
This episode fully exemplifies what a top-tier episode of Survivor should look like, whether it be the amazing cast, building of the atmosphere and setting, or even the surprise attack of collecting supplies at a village. I find myself constantly going back to watch this beautiful masterpiece. Do you believe in true love unfolding itself on reality TV? Well then you should check out Love Island, Survivor All-Stars. For all the dark twists and turns within this season, it has one of the best happy endings ever, with Rob and Amber getting engaged and eventually turning Survivor into a lifelong career. It's one of those things I would never say is the best thing about this season in the moment, but 18 years later, Rob and Amber's legacy and the scary Survivor showmance is constantly brought up in conversation.
You're the most amazing person I've ever met in my entire life, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Survivor Vanuatu is a crazy roller coaster with some of the most boring moments of all time and also some of the most enjoyable. The best moment of the season comes in at day 28 when there is officially only one man left in Chris Doherty, surrounded by 6 women in Leanne, Amy, Julie, Liza, Scout, and Twyla. It's important to remember this season broke the tribes into males and females from the starting point, and this put Chris in a very awful spot. But somehow, some way, he was able to navigate himself into the victory.
Trust any of them, they're thick as thieves, man. They're all women. How do you trust any of them? So, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't decide between this moment and this moment, so I did the only right thing and flipped a coin to decide the best moment of Survivor Palau. And it ended up being Stephanie becoming the last player standing on her tribe. We are long since removed from 2005, so it's hard to remember what life was like, but back in the day, this bizarre situation that took place turned Stephanie into one of the most popular players of all time. Even the most forgettable season in Survivor history is something to love about it, and it's gotta be Judd's hilarious reaction to getting blindsided. Suri made one of the coolest moves ever in Survivor history within Survivor Panama. Little reminder, I'm talking about the final 6 of the season with a 5-1 majority against Terry. Big problem, as Terry had a bag of tricks protecting him from tribal council. Ultimately, Courtney was the GOAT that everyone wanted to take to the finale, taking a spot away from your girl Suri. We had Shane on his own little island giving the single vote for Danielle. Terry and Courtney were voting for Aris, leaving the rest of the players in the driver's seat to blindside Courtney in the magical 3-2-1 vote.
Shane
Shane wants to take Courtney to the final two. He's told me that. Terry wants to take Courtney to the final two. That, to me, makes Courtney the most dangerous person out here.
Okay. This is me in 2006, loving life, watching my first full season of Survivor for the first time. Nostalgia goggles might be blinding me a little bit here, but the best part about Survivor Cook Islands was Ozzy's challenge performance. Nothing. I literally loved nothing about Survivor Fiji, well except for Yao Man and Earl. Similar to Survivor Vanuatu, the thing I love most about Survivor China is how Todd absolutely kills the final tribal council speech and shows how important it is to give the jury strong answers. This might be a little spicy hot take, but I don't think the best moment of Survivor fans versus favorites is this overplayed incident. But instead, I think it comes a few episodes earlier at Tribal Council with the Black Widow Brigade perfecting the art of the blind side. Tribal Council after Tribal Council.
Voted out of Survivor fans versus favorites, and the second member of our jury, Ozzy. Need to bring me your torch.
For a goofy season that emphasizes the social elements of Survivor over the strategic, we need to highlight a fun but small moment from Survivor Gabon. What I'm talking about is summarized in 2 words: Cookie Gate.
Randy offers Sugar his own cookie. She takes it and gives it to Maddie.
Yeah, would you like to repeat that?
Wow. I think it worked out the way it worked out.
Part of the spark that makes Survivor Tocantins so rewarding to watch is the duo of Fishback and JT. How they were able to navigate through the game with interesting characters like Tyson, Coach, and Taj was mind-blowing. With his later appearances in Heroes vs. Villains and Game Changers, many fans of the show tend to forget in 2009, JT was considered one of the best players ever. There were so many more iconic moments from the Dragon Slayer throughout this season, but the best moment from the season is witnessing the first ever Survivor perfect game.
The winner of Survivor
The single best moment from Survivor Samoa is watching my arch nemesis Russell Hantz find hidden immunity idols without the idol clue. Truly game changing at the time, although idols would eventually be seen too much in various seasons, the strategy behind how Russell played Survivor this season arguably saved the franchise and gave the show its second wind. From one Russell Hantz moment to another one, the best moment to come from Survivor Heroes vs. Villains was when JT fell in love and wrote Russell a note during the game. Looking back, I don't know how fair it was that none of the players knew how evil Russell was, but Russell ended up selling this note this past year for $27,600.
You don't hand the enemy the idol, especially when his name is Russell Hantz. You don't do that. That's a no-no.
And talking about Russell Hantz, this guy has turned into my arch nemesis, and I truly believe there's only enough room for one Russell in the Survivor YouTube community. If you are enjoying this video, please consider subscribing and helping me reach my goal of passing Russell Hantz in subscribers. I'm hard-pressed to find anything amazing about Survivor Nicaragua. Similar to Gabon, this season just feels goofy in a completely different experience. I think it's only fitting for this to be the best thing to come from an otherwise poor season.
What were you doing?
Using the restroom.
Call me a fanboy, but although it ends up producing a predictable season, every so often I'm always down to watch a dominating Survivor win. And there's just something so poetic about Boston Rob finally winning Survivor. The best part about Survivor South Pacific is the overall build up to the merge, as this was being hyped up as 2 of the most even tribes in Survivor history. Cochran was getting bullied from his tribe the entire season, and it's just so rewarding and ironic that due to this he would end up screwing over his entire tribe. It's not like I want every season of Survivor to be a steamroll with a dominating winner, but similar to Survivor Redemption Island, the best part about Survivor One World was watching Kim Spradlin put on a masterclass on how to play this game. The best part about Survivor Philippines is the amazing underdog story we watch unfold with the fall of the Mat Singh tribe, only for Malcolm and Denise to get separated and finally coming back together to make the final 4. Leave a like on this video if you agree the only good part about Survivor Caramoan is Malcolm's double idol play. You smashed our goal of 150 likes on my previous video, so for a little extra motivation, if this video reaches 400 likes, I'll make a video discussing the most iconic thing about every Survivor season. And yes, there is a difference between iconic and best. The best part about Survivor Blood vs. Water was ushering in the new era of Survivor with tons of big moves. Don't get me wrong, the idea of big moves would get old really fast, but at the time helped add excitement back into the show we all love. We could talk about anything done from Sierra Easton this season, but I'm specifically referring to the dramatic rock draw. I'm going to change it up as we are always talking about the GOAT of Survivor, Tony Nachos, on this channel. Instead, I think the best moment of the season comes from Weasel Woo. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a game-changing moment, but I always love when Survivor players are having fun. 15-year-old me loved when Woo went ninja stealth mode and ran around the jungle.
I'm gonna pull out something out of my arsenal, which is my ninja stealth mode. You better believe I'm gonna be lurking from the shadows.
Survivor San Juan del Sur is an interesting season to talk about the single best thing, as truth be told, I was a big hater of the season when it first came out. After some reflection, it has grown on me tons, and a big part of that is Natalie's journey. Obviously, her twin was the first person voted out, and she wins the game. It's really poetic, but I specifically love day 24 onward after Jeremy was voted out, and Natalie promises herself and ultimately the viewer at home that she would one day get revenge. And spoiler alert, she does. Spicy hot take, but I think Mike Holloway should be more respected as a Survivor winner, myself included, as I have this dude ranked 34th out of 42 winners. But with that said, the best part about Survivor Worlds Apart was seeing Mike's back against the wall for such a long time and coming in clutch with idle plays and immunity wins. I'm cheating a little bit on this one as it technically didn't take place during the season, but my favorite part about Survivor Cambodia was the second chance voting before the season began. It's one of those things where you really needed to be there, but from the campaigning from all the players on social media to pitching their cases on Rob as a podcast and the live cast announcement at the Worlds Apart reunion show, anticipation for a Survivor season was at an all-time high. The best part about this season was Mark the Chicken. If you don't like that answer, then I would also say the fake out super idle play from Ty to blindside Scott is the best part about Survivor Go Wrong. Sometimes the best moment comes from intense strategy, and other times it just hits you with those emotional feels. Take Adam and Jay's brotherly love-hate relationship that brought out one of the realest conversations in Survivor history.
Me and Adam are both out here for our families, for our moms. He's not a weasel in my book anymore. He's a good freaking dude, he's a warrior.
For all the love I try to give to Survivor Game Changers, even I can agree that the boot order is a tough thing to look at, making the best part of the season come in at day 11 when Malcolm was voted out at the Double Tribal Council because JT got caught playing both sides. Sometimes Survivor truly is just fun TV. Look, if we dive deep into what's fair in the game, no, this is not the best moment, but it can't be denied how fun the post-merge of Survivor Season 35 was with Ben Bong.
Ben Bong.
La la la.
Someone once said you don't realize how good the good old days were until they're gone, and that's because nostalgia is one hell of an emotion, meaning I actually think the best part about Survivor Ghost Island was the little flashbacks we received throughout the season when the players found advantages. There is literally so much to love about Survivor David vs. Goliath that I would argue that it's the perfect example of what a new school Survivor season should look like. Everyone is playing hard but not taking things personal and having fun along the way. The epic immunity challenge between Christian and Alec is the best of the best.
5 hours.
Oh my god, I don't feel good.
In my opinion, a lot of the best moments from Survivor also come at a time when players aren't taking themselves seriously and are truly having fun. I mean, it is a game and you really should have fun while you're out there, and Rick Devens is a player that understands that perfectly. We all know what takes place after the merge, but I'm not gonna lie, this season was shaping up to be really solid with one of the most fun pre-merges in recent years. Hot take, I think the season as a whole is way too messy as they were trying way too many things out for the first time. But what the season does to perfection is reward the fans that have been watching for 20 years with that beautiful feeling of nostalgia, bringing 20 winners back all at once. The best part about Survivor 41 was the Beware advantages, and the best part about Survivor 42 was the Beware advantages. Click right here for the worst thing about every season of Survivor.